Okay, now you have something called the well calculator. Explain what the well calculator tool is all about.
That's actually something that I designed by I do a lot of keynote presentations, which is where I sometimes only have 45 minutes, maybe an hour in front of an audience. So I developed this interactive tool where I could ask the audience, it's 10 questions, and then each person answers either yes or no to each question. And so at the end, they have a personal score out of 10. And the average score, take a guess what you think the average score is.
3.
Absolutely, spot on. The average South African, I find, answers 3 yeses out of 10. And the questions are really about the basics. You know, are you eating breakfast every day? Do you have enough fruits and vegetables in your diet? Do you drink enough water? So I often find it gets people to sit up and say, okay, that's not rocket science, and I'm only getting a score of 3 out of 10. And we know that the higher your score, the healthier you are, the longer you'll live, and the better quality of life you'll have in the quantity of years. So it's really just a little tool that I use when I do presentations.
Now, working with a lot of businesses, what are some of the projects that are taking place in South Africa?
Well, there's to give you an example of some projects that I'm involved with at the moment. I've got one client that's got a pedometer challenge in place. A pedometer is a little step counter that you clip onto your waist, and it counts the amount of steps that you take. And the average or the recommendation is to try and take 10,000 steps a day. Now, the average person who works at an office, at a desk, tends to take about only 3,000 steps. And we find that when people wear a pedometer, they are about 30% more active simply because they've got this little step counter on their waist. So they take the stairs instead of the elevator. They walk a little bit further, rather go walk around the block or drop something off at a colleague rather than emailing it. So that's one incentive. Then we do a lot of health and wellness days. We like the smoothie that we just made. We actually come into the workplace and have smoothie stations, and the staff get to see just how easy it is to create one very simple lifestyle change.
What other projects are you involved with? We spoke about the FAB campaign that you are currently doing with your business partner.
Yes, I do. I think specifically for women, I'm very interested in this, is how to feel fab with no sweat, no schlep. So FAB is not only about feeling fabulous, it's about fueling, activation, and behavior. So that's the F, A, and the B. The fueling is about nutrition. So we take a look at, as busy woman on the run, how do you fuel yourself effectively? So we talk about smart snacking, how to read labels, how to eat light and eat often throughout the day. Then the activation is about how to become more active without having to put on gym clothes and go to the gym for an hour, because we know that especially women in business, it's often not realistic. So the activation is about how do you, when you're sitting in your car, how do you activate your muscles, and how can you actually create core strength when you're sitting with the right posture. And then the B is about behavior, and that's about understanding why we behave in different ways. Why is it easy for some people to do everything right and eat the right things, and then why do I wake up and not want to do the right things? So we have a bit of fun around that, and it's just a really great workshop that we do with women.
So if you talk about activation and exercises you can do in the car, could you probably show us maybe at least one, or explain to us just one exercise that we could do?
Well, there's one thing that's very powerful that we all have access to 24 hours a day, that doesn't cost us anything, that we don't have to remember to put into our handbags, and that's breathing. Because most of us don't breathe effectively. Because we're quite stressed and on the go, we only use the top part of our lungs, and we often breathe through our mouths. So what we do is we teach women, and men of course, how to breathe correctly, which means breathing right down into your belly. And when you breathe in, hold the breath, and as you expire, to actually take longer to expire than you did to inspire, so that increases your lung capacity. And you can use breath very effectively to increase your energy levels. If you're feeling a bit sluggish and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you've still got an hour to go before you leave the office, you can actually sit back, both feet on the floor, take a few deep power breaths, and you'll feel your energy levels lift. It's as simple as doing one exercise like that.
Talking a little bit on men, it's the World Cup. How does one stay healthy during this time?
Yeah. I know it isn't easy because we're just so often sitting watching all these matches. I think it's just about being a little bit aware about everything that we're eating and drinking, because we often nibble and then we have what I call snack amnesia, which is where we forget about what we've actually eaten or drunk. Ideally, if you're watching the games and you're drinking a little bit more alcohol, try and have a glass of water with every alcoholic drink that you have. That's quite important to help you stay hydrated. And then try and have smart snacks. You know, don't just eat crisps and the high-fat biltong. Have lean biltong available. Have bowls of nuts and dried fruit and maybe some vegetable platters with dips rather than just eating the unhealthy snacks.
Okay. And finally, what are your plans for the future?
Well, the more people I can reach, the better. So I really enjoy the professional speaking side of my business. So if I can get into organizations and do more talks around increasing the awareness of health and nutrition, then I'd be really, really happy.
Thank you so much for joining us, Celynn. That's a wrap for this edition of Women in Business. Join us again next week for another episode.